us off with that awesome Red Day video. Another Red Day in the books.
Yay. It was so much fun.
So much fun. So 4 market centers. We had crews out all over the state of Oregon. If you have not seen that video yet, we will reshare it today. It was an absolutely amazing day impacting our community. So super cool to memorialize it with a little fun video for them, huh?
Absolutely. Now you get to see what everybody did.
You just see what everybody did across the state. Well, let's kick this thing off. So we promised everybody that we would reintroduce ourselves every single time. Since we have so many new family members all the time, they don't know who the heck we are. So welcome everyone to the call. I am Leslie Hilbert. I'm the general manager of the Xperience Brokerage Network, which of course encompasses 4 incredible Keller Williams market centers across the state of Oregon, Sunset, Salem, Eugene, and Southern Oregon. So that's who I am. Katie, how about you?
I am Katie Hardman, and I am the Chief Opportunity Officer, which means that I am here to consistently bring opportunities to you and your business, which we will talk about a little bit later. One thing to note about today's meeting is we're going to switch it up a little bit, keep everybody on their toes. We would usually start with some wins and announcements about the network, but we're going to sandwich that in between some value here at the beginning and some value at the end. So if it's okay with all of you, we would like to start our meeting with the topic that has been in every conversation that I have had with every agent across the network is what's going on in the industry. What is the name of this meeting, the state of our industry. So we couldn't think of a better person to have that conversation than Chris Suarez. So Chris, thank you for joining us. And let's kick it off with an economic update.
Morning. Katie called me once, twice, 4 times, 7 times this week saying, hey, can you do some economics? Hey, can you do some economics? Hey, can we get some economics? Hey, do you have anything from Goldman about the economics? Like, what the heck is going on? And so I'm here for the boring part of your state of the company or the industry. And I am actually going to talk all things economics today. So let's jump in. Now, here's what I'm going to share. We're going to look at the big picture of what's going on. And you know me, like I do love data. I love numbers. I love the economy. But I only love it for the purpose of understanding what conversations I can have with buyers and sellers and investors and agents. And so we're going to go through a lot of data real quick. I don't want you to get hung up on it. Clearly, we're recording this so you can watch it again later if you want a little bit of self-induced torture. But my goal today is for us to just get a big picture look at, hey, what should we know about in the economy? And what can I use in conversation at an open house, on calls today, with my sellers that are sitting on the market and wondering why they're sitting on the market, buyers that are saying, hey, like I'm going to wait this one out. Like clearly there's going to be some good deals coming. Please don't tell them to hold their breath because we might lose some buyers. And I mean, they might die because they're holding their breath for a very long time. So let's jump in. The first one is just a big picture approach of like, what is our opportunity? What is the industry's opportunity right now? And these are just broad numbers. You can write them down. You can forget them. I don't care. But there's about 331 million people in the country, right? There's 132 million households. Now, and the reason why I put that number in there, because it's higher today than it's been in a long time. Household formation is up, which means what? They need somewhere to live. Like they need a house to live in. So that might be a house they buy. It might be a house to rent. Either way, it affects you. We love household formation. Like household formation should be just like you're high-fiving every time you see that number go up. 83 million homeowners. Interesting. 132 million households, 83 million homeowners. What does that mean to you? How do we interpret that number? Go ahead and raise your hand. I'll see you pop up. I'll call you. Yes, it means that there's a lot of people that own multiple homes. You're right, which are future investors. I love the feedback. And last year we had about 6 million homes sold, right? Just over 6 million. We expect the same thing, which means what? There's a potential opportunity. The industry opportunity is $90 billion in commissions based on 6 million homes sold. So what should we care about? Like the story of our market, the story of the economy right now is inflation, is the inflation that we're dealing with right now. So what is that? What should we know about? What's the number that we should have in our head? There on the slide, you'll see inflation is basically it refers to an environment of generally rising prices, right, of goods and services like your gasoline and your eggs and your everything else that you're buying. You've seen those prices go up within the economy. As general prices rise, the purchasing power of the consumer decreases. Make sense? Simple, right? That's good for us to get that education. So 8.5% inflation means that if you bought something yesterday at $100, tomorrow it's going to cost about $108.50 in the near future. So when you hear these numbers, 2.3% annual inflation in 2019, 1.4% annual inflation in 2020, 4.7% annual inflation in 2021, 2021 December heading into 2022, 7%. We saw 7.4%. We saw 7.6%. As you see that, we should recognize that inflation is the #1 economic factor we should worry about. Why? Why should we be concerned about that? Go ahead and raise your hand. Why should each of us be concerned about inflation? Yes, it's because as inflation goes up, this is a really fun game show. As inflation goes up, right, we have less discretionary income or less household income for what? Housing cost. So as you look at what incomes are, the average income in your specific area, as inflation goes up and they're spending an extra $90 a month in gasoline and $16 a month in bread and $17 a month in milk, like as those things go up, as inflation goes up, one, buyer confidence decreases, and two, the ability for them to afford or put money towards housing changes. So we should care about that. So as inflation is going up, and granted, right now the government is trying to get control of that, whether they will or they won't remains to be seen. I believe they have everything, they're doing everything right now to control inflation. And so we will see that, I believe, by the second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter begin to pull back. But here's what we need to look at then. If we can't control that, you and I, what we need to be able to look at is individually what's going on that affects our ability to buy houses, right? So the first thing is unemployment. So we're going to look at some unemployment statistics. Here's year-over-year change in GDP. This is economic growth, right? Which is going to lead to how unemployment affects us. What do we see happening in GDP on this chart? It's going down, right? Year-over-year change in GDP, gross domestic product, is going down. A lot of that has to do with supply chain. A lot of that has to do with companies really struggling with getting workers as well. But GDP is going down. We saw an incredible run-up in GDP. In fact, when we go back to our inflation numbers, remember what it was in 2020 as GDP was going up? 1.4%. As GDP goes up, oftentimes inflation goes down. As GDP goes down, what goes up? Inflation. You see how that works? Now, this absolutely will affect the labor market, and the labor market will affect GDP. Here you see a chart. This is well, we're going to focus on unemployment. Right, this is unemployment or labor underutilization. Right, all those are represented on this chart. But what do you see happening to unemployment? It's continuing to go down. So be mindful, just because inflation is up doesn't mean that we're going to see a massive pullback in home buying, because unemployment is at an almost an all-time low. And we're going to look at discretionary income and household income in just a minute as well. This is disposable personal income per capita. Now, some of us would like a little bit more of that, right? Disposable income. I'm not sure any income should be disposable. I'm not sure who termed that or coined that phrase, but this is disposable income. What do you see happening? Yeah, it peaked. Anyone remember why it peaked or how it peaked? Yeah, it was those checks you received in the mail, right? Like it was because a lot of people got a few $1,000s of disposable income. Interestingly enough, there's a whole nother problem there. Those months and the months following that, those cash infusions into the typical American, the average American, we were hoping that would help them pay their bills. Interestingly enough, the sale of luxury goods went up astronomically. So people went out and bought shoes and bags and not bread and milk. And I'm not going to point to shoes and bags because a lot of men bought watches as well. Fair? Let's keep it even. But luxury goods went up. Now, some would argue that was great for the economy, right? Goods were being bought, money was getting reinvested in the economy. So you saw these spikes in discretionary or disposable income. But even after that, what's happened? We've continued to see incomes rise in the US and disposable personal income go up. Now, as housing goes up, that's not disposable. We need to pay rent. We need to pay our mortgage. So you begin to see that move down as affordability gets out of reach. But here's why I bring up this graph. Is it though? Is it yet out of reach? I know philosophically, some of us would like to say, yeah, these houses are unaffordable, but based on average income in the country, these are countrywide graphs, right? These graphs actually came from Goldman Sachs. But the fact is Americans have more disposable income today than they had in 16, 17, 18, 19, 2020, right? Even outside of free money that they got from the government, it's still higher today. And so that's a good sign. It's a healthy sign for Americans being able to pay for housing. So a good number for us to know. As people say, gosh, I think we're headed for a bubble. I think we have a massive issue. No one's going to be able to afford these homes. Prices are going to have to come down. As long as disposable personal income is going up, like you're not going to see that challenge. So let's talk a little bit about mortgages, which affect affordability. This is application volume. And the reason why I share this is an interesting one. This is for the first time we're beginning to see something happen. The dark blue line, you may not be able to see this, but the dark blue line represent fixed mortgages. The light blue line represent adjustable rate mortgages. So in 2020 and 2021, how many of your clients were getting ARMs, like adjustable rate mortgages, and like trying to get their interest rate lower by taking 3-year ARMs or 5-year ARMs? Or no one. Why? Because a fixed rate mortgage was a great deal. It was a phenomenal deal. They were 3%. But what do we see happening on this chart? What do we see happening? Who wants to share?
As interest rates go up, ARMs become more popular.
Yeah, as interest rates go up, ARMs become more popular. And so be aware of that. We've actually, for the first time since, I guess it was back in, like, it was pre-pandemic, clearly, but for the first time in a few years, we're beginning to see more ARMs show up and being used than even fixed rates. Here's the average loan size. This is an interesting graph. Like, this is one that, like, I would, I'd screenshot, I'd put in front of me, and I'd think about, because that's what I do. It's probably not what you do, but this shows average loan sizes. Average loan sizes have decreased for adjustable rate mortgages and increased for fixed rate mortgages. Why do you think that could be? Anyone have an opinion? I'll say that again as you think through it. Loan sizes have increased for fixed rate mortgages and decreased for adjustable rate mortgages. Who is out there getting adjustable rate mortgages? Leslie?
the type of consumer. If you're getting ARMs, I would say it's probably your entry level buyers that are getting in, and people that are buying bigger purchases are probably looking for stability over time while interest rates are still good.
Yeah, you're right. The people that are getting into those fixed rate mortgages, interestingly enough, they are less monthly payment driven than the ones that are saying, hey, how do I reduce my payment by $70, $90, $120, $180 a month? Like, I think that's an interesting sign for the future. It also means that $60 and that $90 is becoming more and more important to them as they look at as they look at inflation, as they look at their discretionary income or disposable income. So just a sign for the future. Primary mortgage rates. Here's a really interesting chart that Goldman put together for us. It shows what percentage of total 30-year conventional mortgage borrowers are at each rate, right? What percentage of the outstanding 30-year mortgages are at 3% rate or 2.9% rate? You see where the majority of interest rates lie? Why could this be a problem right now for us? If we're interpreting or trying to grab some data from here, why could this be a problem? I look at that and say, hey, listen, if the majority of people in their 30-year fixed home is at a 2.8 or a 2.85, it's going to be real hard getting them to move up into a 5.5%. Like, you know what? I'd love an extra bedroom, and I was thinking about it, but I kind of love my rate. We are going to have conversations around that. Now, I think it presents an incredible opportunity for people to build wealth in real estate as well. And in the past, when they would sell a home to buy the next one, what really should we be advising 17% of 30-year conventional mortgage holders to do? Keep that 2.85% mortgage on that home and figure out a way to buy while keeping that as an investment. So I actually think this is a really important graph for us. I think it absolutely might affect inventory, which, interestingly enough, right, I think we'll hold back some inventory. So if you're thinking that inventory was going to loosen up magically here in the third and fourth quarter, I don't think it's going to loosen up as much as we think or would like it to. So again, could help us have a conversation around why we don't think we're going to see this massive drop off in value, because value and home prices are always based on inventory. This is the percentage of 30-year conventional mortgages with at least a 50 bips incentive to refinance. What does that mean? How many people, if they refinance now, would save enough money to do so? What do you see? Like zero, like nobody. Why? Because of our previous graph. So interestingly enough, I don't think we have any mortgage brokers on the phone. I mean, on the Zoom, but a lot of their business has dried up. They are very much hurting right now. There's a lot of major mortgage brokers and lenders that are laying people off. Why? Because refinances, there were thousands of those. Right? Thousands of those every single week, every single month. Now, if you're looking for talent, some of them are looking for new opportunities. Reach out to those people. 0% right now of typical 30-year mortgages are getting any sort of benefit by refinancing. So just something to keep in mind. So let's talk about prices, right? Overall, what's going on? What should we talk about? What should we look at? Housing sale. This is the number of homes sold in a 6-month moving average. So we have these blips of time where we sold less homes this month than we did in the prior year this month. And any given month, like, something could happen. Quite honestly, what was the previous virus? I mean, not the corona, but then Omicron. You can see how tuned in I am. Omicron, like when that showed up in January, we saw a massive drop. Why? Because there was this sudden thing like, oh gosh, what now? And everybody sort of hunkered back down again, and it affected pending sales for that month over the previous year. Goldman says, yeah, that's great. We should look at that, but let's look at any moment in time, this 6 months versus previous 6 months. Now, where do we see that going? The number of homes sold. We see right in the last few months, it's done what? It's trended down. So be mindful of that. Now, it's trended down and we're still seeing 6%, 5% more home sales in the last 6 months than the previous 6 months. And think about that. The previous 6 months to the last 6 months was a wild time. So we're still seeing an increase in homes sold, even amidst uncertainty over the last quarter, because these are up-to-date graphs. This is housing affordability. Right? So as we think about inflation and we think about affordability, big issue right here. This is US housing affordability, and we have reached historically poor levels. In fact, the last time we saw affordability like this was back in 07, 08. Be mindful of that. Why? Because we've seen a massive run up in home values as well. So we absolutely know and believe that the increase in value or pricing is slowing. It has to, based on affordability. In fact, this is something that I always watch. It's what does it cost to own a home versus what does it cost to rent? And we have benefited, right? We have benefited by a housing market that even amidst the prices that we're paying, a mortgage payment was a better deal in terms of percentage of your income ratio than a rent payment. Why? Because of interest rates. But what is about to happen? 04, 05, 06, 07, where it was wildly cheaper to rent than it was to own. Now, we're not there yet, but watch that graph. We're going to watch this one closely, because if it's much cheaper to rent than to own, then household formation as it forms, what will they choose to do? They may choose to rent. They may choose to rent. So that is a graph to watch. We don't want those, we don't love it when those lines cross, not if you sell houses for a living. This is home price appreciation across multiple markets, right? The one in the middle is sort of nationwide appreciation over the last 12 months. And you'll see the west portion of the country has had the highest annualized month over month home price appreciation versus the East Coast. But nationwide, the last 12 months, we broke 20% in home price appreciation. It's just massive. Here's one. This is zip codes. This is the number of zip codes. What percentage of zip codes has seen positive home price appreciation? Where are we? Like 99.7, like 99.7% of all zip codes in America have seen positive growth. I'm still looking for the one that has not. Here is just the affordability index. We have seen it depreciate, right? This is affordability getting better or worse? Well, it's getting worse, and it's going to get worse fast because home prices aren't dropping and interest rates are rising. Like if they don't counteract each other, what should we expect? Affordability to go down, right? So these are just the 20 largest cities with the worst affordability in terms of deterioration in affordability. Housing price growth. Housing price growth remains similarly strong across price tiers. So this is an interesting graph as you think about, okay, well, are luxury homes increasing at the same rate as sort of move up homes, as sort of low tier homes, right? Or entry level homes? We're kind of now all in line evenly. Isn't that interesting? And that's because inventory is matched across all of them pretty much. I remember the time, right? When we think about in 2013 and 14 and 15, our biggest issue, for those of you who were around selling homes, our biggest issue was the low tier homes were escalating at a price much higher than the luxury homes. We've actually seen that all come together now, and they're all on the same on the same path. Let's talk about inventory real quick. There's nothing new here, so we won't spend a whole lot of time, and we'll send out some of these graphs later. But you'll see month supply of existing homes for single family. So those are resale homes, month supply of single family new homes. What do you think this will do? Like, why is this important? I'll share with you that builders looking at this and getting a little bit nervous, right? The last thing we need is for builders to slow down, right? Like, we do not want builders to stop producing product, especially in some of our markets. And yet they will look at this and they'll say, hey, we might need to slow down. What this also means is the offers you write on that new construction, and again, it's market by market, might be slightly different as well, because clearly some builders have existing inventory as well. So here's just right supply. Clearly, the share of let me go back. I'm sorry, that's not supply. Housing supply, as you look at months of or average days on market, supply drives average days on market. What do you see happening, right? That red dot is sort of the yearly average days on market. We're at less than a month on the market still. We continue to go down days on market. I'm going to jump ahead and talk about default because from a big picture perspective, this is what people care about. Like if people are going to say, hey, I'm worried about the economy, I'm worried about the housing market. The reason why we had an issue before is too many people were in default. What does this show? This is the share of US mortgage borrowers that have any type of forbearance. Remember those programs? We've almost gotten rid of all of them. We've almost worked through all of that forbearance. Almost everything has been paid back. And of course it'll be paid back. No one's going to let their home go if they have equity. And here it is. 3% of mortgage properties have negative equity. That's down from 25% in 2011. This should be something we know. When people say, I'm really worried, I'm going to wait for my foreclosure. Like, you're not going to wait for your foreclosure because you won't get one. There's just only 3% of all mortgage properties have negative equity. Last thing I want to share, and this has something to do with the balance sheet of houses, right? This is debt service and debt to income ratio. The fact is it's gone up recently, but it is still historically low. As we look at how much debt the typical American family has, it continues to go down. In fact, this is the household balance sheet, right? The financial obligations that they have, debt payments, lease payments, property taxes relative to their income. Do you see how low it is historically? When we look at the 90s and the 80s and the 2000s and 14 and 15, and like it, although it's gone up because they're paying more now for their homes, and they've bought stuff because they had a great economy, and so they've taken on debt, it still is very low relative to household income. So today, I just wanted to give you a broad stroke look at what's going on in the economy, some things to think about, like as we think about sort of the topics that we want to have information on. It's inflation, it's unemployment, it's mortgages, it's house pricing, it's inventory, it's home ownership, and it's defaults, right? Defaults and debt. That should give you a good snapshot and some conversations that you can have. We'll make sure that you get most of these graphs out to you later today. Thanks all.
Awesome, Chris. Thank you so much. So yes, you guys, Katie, you asked for an economic update. You got it in spades. Huge thank you to Chris for providing that to us this morning. And like he said, don't worry about this if you didn't take screenshots or take great notes. We will get that out in our wrap-up email today, right, Katie?
That's right. Or if you can't comprehend at the speed that Chris talks, we will get the slides out so you can slow him down a lot. He took 70 slides and tried to fit it into 20 minutes and crunch the content down. So he was super excited, and I'm super thankful that he shared that with us this morning. I know that as the industry moves, we're constantly wanting to keep up on that conversation. So we are going to move on. We've got a lot to cover today, a lot of great things to share with you guys. This being one of them, we welcomed 13 new family members to the Xperience Brokerage Network, Keller Williams offices since the last time we got together. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Kent Melissa, Gary, Alexis, Hannah, Elias, Morgan, Jasmine, Alan, Ashley, Katie, and Joni for joining our family. So welcome to the team, you guys. Also, every month we give a shout out and recognize our top agents across the network. I don't know if any of you are competitive, but I am. So I love to just give kudos to these agents who worked their butts off in May. So this is top agents for closed units. In the 3 categories that Keller Williams recognizes differences in comparing apples to apples. So the solo category is 1 sales agent. So congratulations to Ashley, who took the #1 spot for closed units. And then we've got Aubrey, Lou, and Nick, who tied for 2nd. And then we've got Adi, Ahmed, Ali, Dawn, Candace, and Rebecca, who all tied for 3rd with 4 closed units. Now, team is 2 sales agents working together. So Kristen Rader Group, 10 closed units in the month of May. Congrats, Kristen. Ben V. Mondragon Inc. with 6 closed units. We have a tie for 3rd between the Journey Home Team and Emily Schatz Group, and then Sarah Hesselman and Goss Real Estate Group tied with 3 closed units. And then group is 3 or more sales agents working together on a team. So Josh Cooley team took the #1 spot just barely by 1 unit with 25 closed units in the month of May. PDX Property Group coming in 2nd. Benson Broker Group coming in 3rd with 19 closed units. The property brokers had 13 closed units. And then we had a tie for 5th with Arc Realty, Darren Darcy, and Jesse Dillon, the property brokers group. So congrats to all of our top agents for May in closed units. We also want to recognize closed volume. So same categories, and the numbers change up a little bit, which is interesting. So congrats to our solo agents, Aubrey Martin taking the #1 spot with 4 million in closed volume, Ashley at 3.5, Nick Nelson at 2.7, Allie Fuller at 2.3, and Candace McLean at 2.2 million. Congrats to all of our solo agents. For the team category, again, 2 sales agents working together. Kristen Rader Group, again, at #1 with 8.7 million. Ben B. Mondragon Inc. with 2.6 million. Emily Schatz Group with 2.4 million. Sold by Jen got on the board with 1.8 million. Jen, congrats. And then Sarah Hesselman with 1.6 million. So congrats to all of our teams. And then, of course, Josh Cooley, who closed 25 units and took the #1 spot in units, also took the #1 spot in closed volume with 18.7 million. PDX Property Group with 15.3 million. Maurer Group on the board with 8.2 million. Benson Broker Group with 7.3 million, and the Property Brokers Group with 7.2 million. So congrats to all of our top agents for the month of May. Okay, now for some exciting announcements. Every month, we want to bring a new opportunity or multiple opportunities to you and your business. So we actually have 3 this month. So we're going to kick it off. Leslie, do you want to talk about this new opportunity?
I will. So I am stepping in for our amazing Director of Productivity, Mara Gregory, today, who is at a real estate leadership conference. So we are excited to announce that we have released Xperience Coaching. So what is Xperience Coaching is our Xperience Brokerage Network coaching opportunity. So Katie, if you want to go to the next slide, is we know that professionals have coaches, and we wanted to bring a solution that allowed you to build a scalable and repeatable business. Now, how is this different than what you might see in MAPS coaching or others? Is we had a lot of agents that were asking for an opportunity that with Oregon localized support and coaches. So this gives you all of that professional support, business coaching, consultation at different levels that is customized for our agents right here in the state of Oregon. It is broken down into 3 different levels. And then, of course, we're actually building on what we already have here at Xperience Brokerage Network. And Katie, will you show them those different levels real quick? The first one is what we call Accelerate Productivity. We're all familiar with that within our market centers. This is specifically designed for agents that are launching into their real estate career or looking to relaunch their business. We have now added on Accelerate Momentum. This is specifically designed for those agents that are outside of that new agent coaching and productivity coaching level, but are still looking for additional support to accelerate their success. And then that third level is what we call Accelerate Beyond. This is for agents that have already been experiencing success, but they're looking for, once again, for that localized coaching to grow in productivity and profitability and refine in those business details. We also brought it to you at an affordable rate. So Katie, if you want to go one more, it breaks it down under those 3 levels. Productivity coaching is 0 out-of-pocket costs paid through success of the first 6 transactions they close. In your momentum coaching, that provides you 24 coaching sessions per year, or what we call bi-weekly 30-minute sessions on that individualized business planning and next step coaching. And then our Beyond is 45 coaching sessions per year, or that with a 30-minute session. And this one also includes personal accountability, business planning, and quarterly reviews. So we are super excited. We've had lots of people asking for this next level coaching, and it's perfect for people that may not be ready to go on to MAPS or a national coaching program. You'll still have incredible coaches that are highly experienced in both transactional work as well as localized experience and coaching. For more information, you are going to reach out to Mara directly. She is ready to start answering any additional questions you have about the coaching program, as well as sign up new coaching clients to help support them in business. So that's all I got there, Katie.
Woo. Okay, we will get more information out to you in the recap email as well. So if you want some more reading material or more details, call Mara, check the recap email. That was announcement number 1. Announcement number 2, Master Series. So I hinted at this last month, and here is the official announcement. Tickets for the Master Series event, our second one of the year, are now on sale. The tickets are live. We will put the link to get the tickets in the chat. The theme for this event on July 7th is finding your niche, finding your specialty, choosing or discovering what group of people best fits your service. So we will have 2 keynote speakers, a panel of agents who have specialties, and a mastermind. You will hear from some people you already know and love. We have Josh Freeberg, Josh Cooley, Josh Keller, and Heather Wright, as well as some special guests we're flying in. So it will be a jam-packed, content-full day, and then we'll wrap up with a mastermind and a networking event. It is in Eugene at our newly, I think it's the only one that's finished, our renovated space in Eugene. And most importantly, this is early bird pricing. So if you want to come, I suggest getting your ticket now because prices will go up the closer we get to the event. So early bird tickets are $50. They'll go up to $75 on June 21st. So sign up now. Also to secure your spot because we will reach capacity in the room. So super excited about this event and all the Joshes and Heathers and speakers we have lined up for that. That's announcement number 2. Now, finally, our third announcement. So one of the great things about our industry is that you have choices and options, right? There's a lot of them out there. It is our goal that the agents at the Xperience Brokerage Network have as many opportunities as possible. So we wanted to bring you another one. I wanted to start this announcement by saying who you're in business with matters. We talk about that a lot, right? Today, our announcement is thanks to our amazing business partner and owner of the Xperience Brokerage Network, Chris Suarez. This is an exclusive partnership or exclusive deal for you, the agents of the Xperience Brokerage Network. So what am I announcing? We have secured an exclusive XBN discount for the Brivity platform. And if you're like, what is Brivity? Brivity is your time-saving, all-in-one real estate CRM and software solution to generate more business, stay top of mind with your database, and close more deals. So disclaimer, if you're using Command, this is not replacing Command. This is merely another option or another opportunity. I was on a mastermind with Gary Keller a couple months ago, and he said that Command may not be the solution for every single agent. So go find the one that works for you. We wanted to bring you another option to find the one that works for you. So if you're looking for a CRM or have thought about transferring to a new one, you also know that they can be expensive. So how does half off the normal cost sound? I'll put my information in the chat. Reach out to me directly. We have a rep that we're working directly with within Brivity to help you get more information, get signed up, start using the platform. So any questions, or if you want to sign up, reach out to me and we will get you all of the information. So that is all three of your opportunities this month within the Xperience Brokerage Network. And I mean this month and beyond, like they will continue. But we are super excited about these three things. Now, let's wrap up with some beautiful people, right?
Right. Katie, also, we had a couple questions in the chat. So if you currently have Brivity and have questions, reach out to Katie. If you want to explore Brivity, reach out to Katie. She has all those opportunities. So huge thank you to Katie for really bringing as many opportunities as possible to our agents. So huge shout out on that. And yes, that is an incredible panel, right? We want to end this state of the industry in a powerful way. And we are finding that we have two consistent topics that keep rising. We hit number one today, which was economics, right? And so check that we covered that. The second thing has been and continues to be listings, and more importantly, how are our top agents being successful in taking listings in today's market? So Katie put together an incredible panel for you. So I'm going to let you take it back and lead us through some of our top listing specialists for the month of May.
Awesome. I'm going to stop sharing so you can see their beautiful faces in real life, a little bit bigger on your screen. Okay, so today we have Colleen Benson, Angie Herman, and Kristen Rader, who all, I mean, you saw them on the top agent report. They are the top listing agents across the network for the month of May. So ladies, thank you all for joining us today. Kristen, unmute yourself and say something so I see your face.
I'm here. I unmuted.
Perfect.
Okay.
Hi, you're in your car. Are you out taking another listing right now?
Well, weird story, but I went to a listing to take a key off and there was this portable AC unit on the front porch. So it took me like 10 minutes to get it dragged down to my car. So now I have a portable AC unit. So I've been in my car listening to you. Gonna wet my pants here, but I'm ready.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll talk fast and turn yourself off mute if that happens, or off camera if that happens. So ladies, just let's start with an introduction. Like, who are you? Where are you located? How long have you been in the business? I saw you unmute yourself, Colleen. Do you want to start?
Okay, I'm Colleen Benson. We are out of Salem. Our hub is in Salem, and then we have the office in Lincoln City supporting the Central Oregon coastline. How many listings have we taken? Is that what you asked?
How many listings have you taken year to date? And then how long have you been in the business?
Okay, so Benson Broker Group has actually, this month is our 6-year anniversary. And prior to that, I was at Portland Central supporting as supportive admin for a commercial broker. So I've been in the business over 20 years. For listings taken year to date, we are at 50 active and exactly 50 active sold and pendings.
Holy smokes. Congrats.
We have
Happy anniversary. Congrats.
Yeah. So yeah, about 50% of our business.
I love that. Angie, what about you?
My name's Angie. I'm here in Salem mostly. I've done a couple at the coast. I have been in real estate since 2016, and I've been on the team about a year and a half. So yeah,
Love it. Kristen, what about you?
I'm Kristen Rader. I'm up in Portland, Oregon. I have taken only 17 so far this year, and I've been in the business 19 years now.
Amazing. I love that. So let's get into like the dynamics of your business. Colleen, you kind of started this conversation. What percentage of your business is listings? And what are the main sources of your listing business? Like, where do they come from?
So our goal is to always be at least 60% listings to buyers ratio. Currently, we're at exactly 50. For units sold year to date, we are 2 away from 100. And we have 50 listings. So we're carrying 50% on that. Our business mainly comes from past client referrals, Sphere, and all you lovely KW agents that are our referral partners.
I love that. It's the business you want, right? They're coming to you.
Yeah, I would say 75% of our coastal business is actually KW referrals. So we really appreciate our referring partners.
That's awesome.
One of them.
Kristen, what about you? What percentage of business is listings and what are your sources?
Currently running at 55%. It swings between 55 to 64%. I am Brian Buffini born and raised, so I am repeat and referral primarily, about 80%. I do have a small geographic farm. Literally, I farm farms. It's kind of funny. And so I get a handful of listings each year from that. And then just sign calls and internet stuff. And those come in, I think, because lately I've been tracking people are searching for high reviews. And so I've been, getting those through Google and Zillow reviews.
So one of the things that you guys both said that is important, I think, to repeat is your numbers. Like, what percentage of your business comes from listings. And if you've read the MREA, that's the perfect business. 50% listings, 50% buyers. That means that you're servicing all of the sellers that become buyers and buyers for your listings. So I think that's a huge win to know those numbers and to keep it at an even 50-50. How do you maintain that? You guys have all been in the business multiple years, multiple decades. How do you maintain a 50%?
For me and my team, Angie here is one of my lead listing agents. I try to train everyone up to be a very expert listing agent on my team. I find that that's where they need to be. They need to be lead genning for listings only. And so when we train them up, and I have the concept of I do it, we do it, they do it. So I can be out of production and trust that my listing agents are all out there representing our name and our standards and getting those listings and beating out the other agents that are being interviewed. So I would say that's how we do it.
I would agree. Staying on top of the market, I think, is number one, and making sure that you know your assets and you know what you have to offer is how you beat out your competition. And our market's getting more competitive. And so staying on top of the market and communicating that in all of your appointments, I think, has been one of our best competitive items we have to offer.
I love that. It's a focus. One, you guys focus on listings. You're bringing value by staying on top of the market, and you're communicating that value or what's going on in the industry so that you can be the real estate agent of choice. That's amazing. Thank you guys for sharing that. Kristen, what about you?
I wish I could say I was that purposeful and organized. I've been doing this long enough that it just kind of happens for me. I don't necessarily focus on listings. I would love to be like 75% listings, and buyers are always more work, right? So that would be great. But I just kind of come in and the calls come in. I don't cold call. I don't do any of that other stuff, expireds or anything like that. But I will say what they were saying about being prepared for your presentation. I go in and I say, I don't have a dog and pony show. There's no smoke and mirrors. I'm cut and dry. I'm going to tell you what I think. And if you don't agree, then we can agree not to agree now instead of later on down the road. And I generally, if I lose a listing, it's because I've been too conservative in price. But as we move into the shifting market, I think it's even more important to be aware of that and not go in, 3 months ago, we could go in and say, hey, I'm going to put your house on the market on a Thursday and it's going to be sold by Monday. We cannot guarantee that anymore moving forward. So the listing presentation is about to change quite a bit. And I think if you're not keeping up on things and you're saying your listing presentation you did 3 months ago, you're going to start either maybe still getting the listings, but then having very frustrated clients, or, you really need to be paying attention to that and shifting that conversation now.
So you alluded to what was going to be my next question is, okay, we get you have a repeatable business of listings coming in, yet 3 months ago taking listings, it was all about there's no inventory, 25 offers, 100,000 over asking price. As the listing agent, are you still seeing some of those characteristics or are things shifting?
Not at all. One of the conversations I've had on many of my listing appointments is letting them know what to expect of the market. And one of the number one items I talk about is if you list today, this is what we can list your property at. But if you wait 3 weeks, we need to reevaluate because that's how fast our market is changing. And so I prepare them for that because it is changing rapidly. And I can't tell you what it's going to be like in 3 weeks. That's how fast we're changing. So, yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. Kristen, Colleen, any other thoughts on that?
I would say as you're pricing at homes, like right now I have 2 that are just sitting and it's been so frustrating. When I went back and looked at the data again, you can see that the homes, if you're using recent comps, let's say 3 months, February, March, even April were phenomenal. That's when everything was going bonkers. But if you're using those as comps, you have to be really careful. The 2, I just went back and reanalyzed them because we've been on the market 20 days with one and like 14, I think, with the other. And I priced it very competitively, what I thought was good for one of them. And then what I realized looking back at both of them is if you take out, sometimes there's an outlier, right? There's like the bell curve, and then there's that one way up there. And you have to almost throw that one out, especially if it happened in February, March, April, because we're not there anymore. You kind of have to go back to the bell curve and see where those are at. Because pricing is definitely shifting but in certain areas and certain markets, my high-end stuff still going bonkers, go figure. But the lower to middle end stuff between like 500 and 600 is struggling a bit.
We've seen the same thing, the exact same thing. Yep. And I pay a lot of attention to days on market and the price range that I'm looking for my clients. If the days on market are really long, then I know that we need to price more competitively. So that helps too.
Angie, you alluded to something, or you started to say that you're setting this expectation with your clients that if we list today, here's the price we could list at, but if we wait 3 weeks, the conversation may be different. Elaborate a little bit more on the expectations you're setting with your sellers right now.
Sure. So one of the biggest topics that everyone's asking is about the economy. A lot of that has to do with fear. So you need to address the fear that people are having with what's going on in our market. People think that we're going into another 2008 recession. We're not. This economy is different. It's going to be different. And the demand for real estate is still very, very high. We're at 0.9 months of inventory right now. So there is still a really high demand, but buyers are getting scared and they're getting apprehensive. And so you're starting to see properties sit more on the market, but it's still a competitive market. And that's the conversation that I've been having with my clients as sellers is, look, our market is slowing down a little bit, but in reality, it's actually evening out. It's not plummeting. It's not, going to
Go backwards.
Die off.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Your $300,000, $400,000 home is not going to be worth $100,000, 100,000, in 6 months from now. So, and that's the fear that they're going through and that they are struggling with. And so just really helping them have a actual understanding of the numbers and a realistic understanding of what's going on in the market instead of, you know, thinking in this aspect of fear, is kind of how I've been addressing those topics.
Yeah, and the other thing, Leslie said it earlier, I mean, we're looking, if you're a move up buyer, you're not trading a 3% for a 3% mortgage anymore. And so therefore it's just not as fun. So a lot of our Sphere clients, they're, you know, they either already bought their move up or downsized house, but they don't really want to trade a 3% for 6% mortgage. So the inventory, it's harder to go find those listings. So we're doubling down on our lead generation, and calling our database and asking for those referrals. And that's extremely important. And also, you Portland agents are kind of coming into the Salem market right now. So the competition's getting a little bit more for us here locally as well.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you're noticing those and changing your activities, I think, is what's most important, right? Like we're paying attention to the market. You're noticing that there's more competition. You're noticing that you need to reach out to your database more often. I love that. Kristen, is there anything you would add in terms of how you're setting expectations or what you're noticing in the market?
Just that, I guess right now I'm kind of gun shy because these two that are struggling to sell, and frankly, one is already priced $100,000 less than the neighbor next door with the identical floor plan. So that has me a little like, oh God. And the other one is an outlier, but the neighbor, literally that one just sold for $689, and at $689 we had 3 showings. We went to $679 and got no new showings. So that kind of thing has me a bit nervous and rethinking how I'm going to go into things, because you still want to price at the low end of the range, especially now. But then it's like, okay, if it doesn't sell in 5 days, you've got these buyers are like, hey, 5 days on the market, we can go in underneath, you know, list price, and then the sellers get offended. So it's just a really unique time that you have to really tailor your conversation with listings to reset expectations, and that show them the data. Because when you show them the hard numbers that, look, here's what happened. And if, like, when I go to a listing, I have a page that's like the actives, the pendings, and the solds, and you can see that the days on market is creeping up. So when they see that physically, and again, it's not all areas, but that helps them understand, oh, okay, this is changing.
Gosh, I love that. Focus on what I've heard you guys say is make listings a focus of your daily activities, make your database and reaching out to your clients a focus of your daily activities, and constantly be paying attention to what's going on because it's changing so fast, and use that data to help your clients make really good decisions right now. Is there anything you guys would add or any last words before we wrap up for today? Well, thank you. Thank all 3 of you for sharing with us today. It's the top of the hour, so we will wrap up. I hope you guys all have an amazing rest of your week, and we'll see you in July at the Master Series event. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.